Hi, everyone. We are live. It's 2 p.m., episode 2 of season 2 of Align365. I have my beautiful goddess guest, Laura Bautista. Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
For being able to have this conversation.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time today. This is a combo that everybody's waiting to hear about, or to listen in on. So what I'm going to do is just make sure that we are live inside, or I should say on my public Facebook page. And then I'm going to do a quick share into some groups and tag Laura. And so if you guys are watching, give us some love, give us some hearts. Let us know where you're from, where you're watching from. A lot of you may be at work, but we love engagement and we love comments. So while I'm doing this, if you all don't mind, let's get in there and say hello. Yay, we're live, by the way. All right, we are good. I always fear that we're not live when I say we're going to go live, because for those of you who don't know, I am on my desktop and I am live streaming from Ecamm off of my Mac laptop. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So it's nice to see that we are on. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just make sure I share into our amazing groups. Give me just a second here. Yay. Hey guys, if you're watching, please say hello. Give us some love. Would love to see you guys. We've got some people watching. Say hi. Okay, sending this now into the group. Wow, this is so complicated. It shouldn't be, right? Oh my gosh.
I have not even gotten into that whole world of doing it myself. I love to appear on other people's things, but I'm sure it just takes a little getting used to.
It does. It's just, it's fun. It's fun. No, it's fun because you know what? We get to share this and share our experiences, share, our messages and our passions with the world. Like, who cares, right? Technology is just, my gosh, it's just so simple. We can deal with it. But anyway, okay, I'm just one last thing, guys, and then we're going to get into some really deep combos here. Oh my gosh, I should find a better system to do this. Okay, Laura, I may have to tag you afterwards because this is not wanting to tag. Whatever. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. Hey, we did it. Okay, guys. So we are going to talk about the dangers of positive psychology. I know people are probably like, what? What do you mean? Like, explain. And we will. But before we do that, I just want to say hello. I'm Dr. Denise Simpson. I am a life and leadership coach. I run a small Facebook group called Align365. And this is a group, it's a tribe, it's a community of people who are looking for ways to align together and individually. And alignment means different things for different people, right? Alignment can be very different to Laura than what it is to me. And we're going to talk to her about alignment too in just a bit. But it's really, in essence, aligning with our highest purpose. And so these are people in this group who are ready to take responsibility, who are ready to take action, who love themselves so much that they are doing what they need to do to find alignment in their lives. And so if you are interested in joining our free group, I'll make sure I put a link in this post so you guys can go meet us inside. But I've got a beautiful, amazing guest, Laura Bautista. She is a holistic health practitioner. And just to kind of share with you how she and I met, we're both here in Austin, and we both met through the Society of Women Entrepreneurs. And so this is a sisterhood that is just has aligned all these amazing, powerful women who know their life's purpose and who are ready to share their gifts with the world. And so Laura is someone who I was so attracted to. I don't want to make you feel weird, Laura, but I was like, yes, girl, I'm feeling you. I'm feeling your energy. And when you are in alignment, you start attracting people in alignment. So when you're living your divine truth and when you are serving others, you get to meet some of the most amazing people on this planet. And Laura and I met, and I had to get her on our Align365 show. So thank you for being here. I honor you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, I'm excited to get this talk going.
Good. Well, let's do it. Good. Okay. If you guys are popping on, say hi. We love hearts. We love likes. No sad faces here. We want some happiness in the group. Some comments. I'll be checking out the comments here too, Laura. So if any questions pop up, we'll make sure we address them. But if you don't mind, Laura, you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you got to this point of serving others in this capacity.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a life learner and I'm a light seeker. And I've lived with disease for many years in all forms of the word. So I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was about 21 years old. And then a few years later, I was slammed with another autoimmune diagnosis of urticarial vasculitis, which is essentially chronic hives. And so from there, I experienced a lot of, roller coaster of emotions, a lot of lack of control that led to this really, a lot of anxiety, crippling anxiety. I just had no control over anything in my body. So I had no choice really at one point to start to seek things that helped me align and helped me come back into my body so that I could move forward with my life in a way that was really powerful. And so through my own healing journey, I experienced a lot of like what we're going to talk about today, focusing on the positive, suppressing the negative. And I really started to, over time, equate it to suppressing symptoms. Because when things come up and when negative feelings come up, well, those are symptoms. Those are indicators. That's communication from your body that there's something that needs to shift so that we can, in this case, shift back into alignment. Mm-hmm. So now I've made a career of helping others heal in the same way that I did. And not through suppressing symptoms, but through healing from the inside out.
Oh, it's so beautiful. My God, what a journey. So at the age of 21, diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
Wow. I bet that was shocking, especially at that age.
Yeah, it was really shocking. And also I had no idea what it was. I always say like everybody's got an aunt who has MS, but nobody actually knows what it is. And so now I became that aunt who had MS, but I started to learn about, whatever the diagnosis is, it's what's going on in my body. Mm-hmm. And then what part am I playing in that? Mm-hmm. And so, and then once you start to realize from a place of responsibility and not blame, what's my part in this, you can really get in there and start to take control over what's happening, where you can take control. Mm-hmm. And from there, like Denise was saying, in terms of attraction, law of attraction even, as you start to shift things and shift your mindset and integrate your thinking, you start to attract more people, situations, circumstances that support that. Right. It can be really powerful.
Yeah, it sure can. So tell us your definition of alignment. And I ask all of my guests this question because I want for those who are watching to get a different perspective on alignment. I've talked about alignment a lot, but again, it's different for everyone. And so do you mind sharing with us your personal definition of alignment?
Of course. So for me, it's sort of a combination of things. Where I can start is it really starts with atonement for your wrongdoings, and taking responsibility for our lives. So included in that, and it takes time and practice, it's starting to shed all of the need for external validation and external rewards. We are a reward-motivated society. And so if we're not getting something out of something, we think we're doing something wrong. Or if there's not something tangible to hang on to, then we think that we're missing the mark or something. And so what's more valuable and it took me a really long time to get here, is learning to trust yourself and trust your body. Mm-hmm. So in physical form, alignment looks like a rested heart. It looks like grounded, intentional action, and living with purpose through the lens of unconditional love. So that doesn't mean you have to like every single person or like every single situation, but you love yourself unconditionally in that moment, and you see things through a different light and through a different lens. And as you practice doing that in your everyday life, things are not so bad. So this whole like high vibe, low vibe conversation, it starts to become really, really neutral,
Mm-hmm.
and circumstances become neutral because you start to claim your power in these moments. And that's what really, I think, alignment has really become for me, is just aligning with my true power and not seeking external validation in any form.
Oof.
It's not always easy, but it's done.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It's not easy. But when you love yourself so damn much,
Yeah.
I mean, you'll start
Yeah.
seeking a redirect, right, in your life. And so you said something super important, the external validation, right? The external rewards that we seek, because that's the society we live in, right? It's constantly checking off boxes and checking off status and checking off, jobs and checking off education. And that's something that I've lived through. In my career and in my education. I mean, it was like, when is it enough? Okay, what more do you want? And so that's when I had to get on my journey of seeking alignment. And thank you for the thumbs up. We got some thumbs up, Laura. Yes. Yeah. You're resonating. Yes. You guys are listening to this message. If you just popped on, say hi, give us a heart, give us a like or a comment. Let us know if you're liking this information so far. So before we talk about the dangers of positive thinking, can you just really quickly, Laura, share with us how you personally find alignment when shit happens? Because life happens. So what do you do to get back and redirect your alignment?
So there are a couple of things that I do. And I'll start with kind of the tangible physical things, because that's where people are like, we also need to like do things. Like we feel like something's got to be done in the moment. And so we can start with that. And so practicing presence is key. And what does that mean? And so from a physical perspective, going outside and planting your feet in the grass and just looking up into the sky and realizing that there's just more to life than what's happening in your mind in this situation. Okay. So you can really like be in total awe of, God, the universe, whatever your God word is. And if God word triggers you, or you don't really resonate with that, whatever it is that makes the birds fly, really going outside and just noticing that and being in that presence. Another thing that I love to do is just simply drink a big glass of water. Water is gravity. Water grounds. A lot of the decisions that we make, or at least in my case, and I know a lot of people that can probably relate to this, is a lot of the decisions that we make that are bad decisions or reactionary are because we're really freaking dehydrated. So our body chemistry plays a role in the way that things play out. And so if you're hydrated, it will probably shift your perspective at least a little bit. Conscious breathing is another thing. So there are tons of practices out there. You can, Google it or whatever. One of my favorites that I started with was Dr. Andrew Wheel's 4-7-8 breathing, where you inhale to the count of 4, you hold to the count of 7, and then you exhale to the count of 8. And you can Google it. He's got videos and stuff, and they're super, super helpful. That just brings you back into your body. And it helps you kind of calm down in the moment so that you can step away from whatever the thing is that is making you feel weird. And then you come back with this kind of shift, and this just different lens is kind of the way I like to do it. And yoga obviously has a similar effect. And then finally, from a physical perspective, I think about, pets, animals and children too. I mean, they're always seeking joy, and they're so pure, and they're not self-conscious. They're not caught up in their bills. They're not caught up in, their to-do lists and things like that. And so we can learn a lot from the grace and presence of animals and children because, like I said, it's just so pure. So I guess that ultimately my favorite thing is nature. And I'm a New Yorker, so I grew up in the city. Like we didn't even have grass. We had like a very small backyard with like a basketball hoop and like, a heap of weeds. But, since shift, and I lived 3 blocks from Central Park when I was in my 20s. Wow. So I just never accessed it. It just wasn't a priority to me. And I always felt like doing was going to really shift me more than just going outside and even looking at a flower. I have roses on my desk. Whenever I'm needing an extra grounding, but I don't want to go outside if it's cold or raining, I take a flower. I look at the flower. I touch the flower, smell the flower, really engaging your senses into something that is not your mind and your ego taking over in that moment. And we can talk a little bit more about ego as we get into the other stuff.
I'm so excited. Yes. So, just really quickly, Jamie, commented, water is key and it flushes out toxins too. So
Totally.
yeah, she's hearing you loud and clear there. Very good. And thank you all for joining us. If you just came on, say hello, give us a heart, give us a like. I'm Denise Simpson. I'm with Laura Bautista. She's a holistic health practitioner, and we're going to talk about the dangers of positive thinking. So we're going to segue into that now, Laura. Is that okay with you?
That sounds perfect.
Good. Okay. Who's excited? Who's watching right now? Who wants to know about the dangers of positive thinking? Can I get some likes up in here, please? I know you guys are out there watching, because this is exciting to me. When this was something that you and I were, addressing, and we were, trying to hone in on the topic for today. Oh, good. Jamie said yes. Yep. Yes. She's like, yes, me. She's interested. And it's a topic that I think we all need to really, dig into, because, this culture that we live in is all about positive psychology, right? It's always about, hey, what affirmation are you going to say today? Like, it's that easy to get out of an emotion or a mood. And so anyway, I'm going to redirect this to the expert, Laura, but, I'm looking at comments here. Jamie says, I can tell you now what the danger is. You are placing your head in the sand. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, Jamie. So thanks for sharing that. So Laura, open this up, and you guys keep commenting. I'll make sure I put them on the screen as you guys, post, but share with us, how do we begin with this subject?
Totally. I mean, I'll just begin where I began with it. So when I was really, really ill, meaning I was like in full symptom with the MS, had hives all over my body. I mean, there's not a lot of positive that you can really access if you're unconscious about what's going on. And so I did start with the power of positivity, and I did start with, the affirmations and you're negative, so I need to stay away from you. And it can be part of the cycle. So I'm not trashing the power of positivity. I think it definitely has its place. I just think that it's a very dangerous place to stay. And so we can talk a little bit about why. And the first thing that I really want to address, and this was very much the case for me, and I know it's the case for a lot of my clients and friends, is that it kind of makes you feel like shit for feeling like shit. Mm-hmm. So that's not a very empowering place to be, because then you end up shutting down and suppressing these, symptoms of negativity. And it's a fake positive. It's like a false positive, but you can really, really run with that, because we have control over our minds, and our minds they're very powerful. So the next thing, so the high vibe only kind of thing, which again, in the beginning, if you're really, really down, it will bring you out of it a little bit. But then after a while, you have to start to realize that it's not positive versus negative. It's a circuit. So it's polarity, and the two play off of one another. It's like a battery, and it goes back and forth. And, like one of my friends mentioned earlier, it's about, we need to tap into our shadows and things as well, not just, the things that are feeling like cupcakes and dandelions. That's not real. What ends up happening when you're coming from that space is that you start to judge yourself for not being happy and for not feeling good. You start to feel guilt. You start to, and it really ultimately just kind of leads to destruction, and it leads to a lot of separation, because it starts to feed ego at the level of shame and at the level of, not enough and things like that. And so, that can really, that can get really tricky, especially when it comes to relationships, because then you start to think like, oh, well, every person that doesn't make me feel good, I need to get away from that person. Mm-hmm. And now don't get me wrong. There are groups and situations, and, sometimes it is good to create some space, between people who are really keeping you down. I remember being part of a lot of these support groups for MS and for chronic hives. And man, it was just like a group pity party, and everybody just wanted to talk about their symptoms and how sick they are and their misery and things like that. And so it's good for like a relatability standpoint, but it'll keep you in that under that doom cloud for much longer than you need to be. And it'll keep you suppressing those things too. And so a term for that, where you only want to focus on the positive and you only want to look at things that are happy and good. It's called spiritual bypassing. And that's when you're bypassing, the negative and the hard stuff, and you only want to live in this little bubble. And that's just not real, right? I mean, it takes away from life, because life is all things, and there's beauty in feeling all of it. And as you feel all of it and you learn to alchemize the negative emotions in a very healthy way, it's more balanced. And you feel. It's like, I like to relate it to, and I think I may have touched on this already, it's like relating it to suppressing symptoms with Band-Aids and with prescription drugs and things like that. After a while, the power of positivity can act kind of like a drug, because you're just like, need more positivity, more positivity, more positivity, negativity bad, symptom bad. And that's just a freaking cycle of judgment. So I want to just plant that seed of spiritual bypassing, because we don't want to invalidate your pain. We don't want to say you shouldn't cry. Tears are alchemy, And so when you allow yourself to feel, and you allow yourself to cry, well, there comes that water, that gravity, and it brings you grounding. I mean, how good do some of you feel after you've had a good cry? I know I do. I feel freaking great sometimes after a good cry. And if the emotions don't move through, they actually, according to a lot of different sciences of medicine, those emotions eventually become symptoms and become illness, and they live and they store in your tissues and your glands and your organs. So it's all connected, and it's okay. And it's okay to have a shit day. It really is. It's just what you do. It's kind of like, how long are you going to allow yourself to stay in that shit? Pretty much. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I love that you said spiritual bypass, because I think that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. I'm now 41. And so not until about a year ago, once I turned 40, I was like, I've got to deal with some childhood trauma and the childhood shit that I experienced and witnessed. And it was time to deal, because I had found spirituality in when I turned 18, 19 years old. Specifically Abraham Hicks, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, yes, the Course in Miracles, and so many other amazing authors, spiritual, new age, metaphysical authors out there. Now I'm heavily interested in Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, where these are scientists who combine metaphysics with hard concrete science, which is something that I'm super obsessed with right now. But the last 20 years, I've suppressed so many of these emotions and trauma that I experienced, and now at this age, I'm finally ready to come to terms with the pain and to come to terms with the shit that my sisters and I lived through. And it again, not until about a year ago did I start realizing this positive psychology, this spiritual bypassing that I've been doing for the last 20 plus years is not serving me now in my 40s and the next half of my life. Like I need to come to terms with this and deal with this now. And so what you're saying is resonating with me. It's hitting me to my core right now, because this topic is I think we all need to talk about now so we can avoid these pitfalls later. And I have to say, my relationships were damaged. My relationships, I sacrificed a lot of my alignment because of the shit I hadn't dealt with, right? The trauma and the emotions I hadn't dealt with. And now in my 40s, I'm now realizing, oh shit, like I got maybe another 40 years if I'm lucky on this earth, and I haven't dealt with this crap. And so, yeah, there are dangers of positive psychology and spiritual bypassing. Right. Laura, Jamie just commented here. She writes, let me see here. I had a very bad day yesterday, and when I got home, I disconnected the bad shit and enjoyed my family. So yeah, I mean, that's it. That's what we're talking about, Jamie. What are your thoughts on that, Laura?
I think that that's a very healthy way to alchemize a situation and to shift from fear to love, which is what the Course in Miracles says, what Marianne Williamson says. And when done in a really healthy way, shifting from fear to love with family, with loved ones, that's not necessarily bypassing. It's it's almost like using it as a tool or as a means to course correct, and a means to shift the consciousness. That's one of the ways to shift from this feeling of negativity to positivity in a healthy way, is by a shift in consciousness. And being around family, loved ones, for me, nature, flowers, even community. Oh my gosh, community is huge. Giving, all of these things, well, they shift you from fear to love, and they shift you from that negative expression to a positive expression in a very healthy way. So I think that that's wonderful. I think that tapping to your heart, that is the way to create a different experience, even when, and not suppress the things, but just, you can see them through a different lens when you have something else that's also supporting this unconditional love. So I love that. I love, having family as a part of your healing. That's been a huge part of mine. My mom has always been very much in my corner. I think, you kind of got a little bit of a taste of that. And, although we don't live in the same city anymore, she's always helping me kind of shift through a situation, not by rescuing me and not by having me bypass things, but by helping me see things through a little bit of a different lens. We need to utilize our family. That's what they're there for. So I'm really glad that came up. Yeah. And another thing, I like that you brought up relationships, because and I had been bypassing until pretty much until I started with the Unified Medicine Institute, which is a bioenergetic school. So we look at biology medicine, we look at energy medicine, and it combines all of the medicinal theories that exist into this really beautiful unified approach. And with that, my teacher, who's this amazing teacher, she's the one who really started planting these seeds in my mind of like, first of all, what is your role in why you're unhappy? So take responsibility for that. Play your part. Number two, it's not all about high vibes. It's not all about, when I think about relationships, I started dating this guy a couple of years ago. And when I first met him, I'm like, okay, so he doesn't check the boxes of what I want. So, not my guy. But he kept, I kept being drawn to him. He kept coming back into my life. We have very little in common in terms of our interests and things like that. And in the past, I would have been like, all right, well, bye. Kind of thing. But when I allowed for the differences and the polarity to peek through, it's become the most beautiful, nurturing relationship I've ever been a part of, ever. And that's because there's so much beauty in polarity and in accessing the positive and the negative, and not judging things that other people do. And also when you find yourself judging things, you look for, well, if I'm judging this in you, then I'm judging it in me, because that's really how it works. And so it's really it's like a total mind fuck in the beginning, right? Because you're just like, what have I been thinking for all of these years? But it starts to create this really beautiful synergy between your brain and your heart. Mm-hmm. And you can live from both instead of just, what am I thinking? Where's the positive outcome here? Kind of thing. And it's really, really powerful. So, yeah.
Right on. Oh, I thank you for sharing that. Now we've got some comments here, Laura. So hang on for a second. Jamie says, will you invite us to your wedding, Laura? She'll sponsor the wedding cookies. Oh my gosh, she's so funny.
Awesome.
Jamie also says, her mom is literally going deaf, and she's so depressed right now that she told her that patients at MD Anderson would kill to have her problem or to be in her shoes. What can Jamie tell her mom? Because she is in a depressed state. I don't know if we're able to give Jamie some advice on what to share with her mom in this current condition of hers.
Well, it's tough. One of the things that I look at when it comes to being really ill and having those really, really tough experiences is that you can only focus on what you can control. So whatever that means to your mom is where I would start. Wow. Meaning, if she can control her water intake, if she can control her conscious breathing, it's going to be, when people are and I don't really know like the state of where her mom is at right now, but that might not be something she wants to hear. And so what I might do if it were my mom is I would, try to introduce things like, like color or funny things to make her laugh, because it's about a shift in consciousness, and a shift in consciousness can be done in many different ways. So if she prays, praying for, someone who maybe she might not want to pray for, like all of those things, leaning into some resistances. There are different practices, and it's kind of case sensitive, but as you start to, the way that I shifted out of anxiety was honestly by giving to others, and by providing anything that I had to give, which at the time was volunteering. And I know this is probably not the case, but maybe you can find something that kind of is a parallel to this, volunteering and giving my time to those who are less fortunate than me. It creates this really powerful shift in perspective, which then creates that shift in consciousness and allows you to move through things with a different, with a different energy. So I wonder if that might help, just trying to find a way to shift her consciousness through something that is very meaningful and powerful to her. So I hope that helps.
Oh, thank you, Laura. That's really great. Yeah, Jamie, let us know how that works out. I know how close you are with your mom. Let's see. Here's another. Jamie's on fire today, I must say. Let's see if we can move her question here. Oh, can you talk about wardrobe and how it can impact your energy and how others see you? Like in the positive sense, or maybe people's perception on what you wear. Is that what you mean, Jamie?
The most powerful thing. Oh, well, we can, I guess, ask for clarification. But I think the most powerful thing when it comes to how you're dressed and how you're living and how you're feeling in your body is how you're most comfortable. Because that's when you're going to be able to express the most freely, and it's really not about how other people view you, because other people are going to view you based on the way that you're viewing yourself. That's really how it works. And when people come to you with judgment and like, oh, your hair is not perfect. My hair is never perfect. Your hair is not perfect, or your clothes are raggedy or whatever. Don't feel the need to hand over your power to other people because you want to satisfy some opinion of theirs or get that external validation. The validation that you're really craving is the internal validation. It's the validation of when you look in the mirror and then see, how do you feel when you look in the mirror? Because if you look in the mirror and the first thing that pops up into your mind and is all this self-talk about how you look like crap, or how your hair could be better, or you could lose a couple pounds, or this roll here, or whatever, if that's where you're coming from, you better believe that energy is going to be out there in the field and in the physical world. So I would focus more on how do you feel most comfortable with yourself, but doing that not from a place of external stuff, from a place of internal joy. Because when you exude joy, that's all people are going to see, no matter what you're wearing.
Yeah. Well, and yes, we got thumbs up on that. And let me tell you, Laura, you exude joy and love and healing energy. And I honor you and I thank you for joining us today. I'm looking at the time and I want to be mindful of your time and those that are watching us. It's now 2:33, so we're I know you and I could be on this call for hours probably. But I want for everyone to know how they can find you. Do you have some information you can share with us?
For sure. So you can always friend me on Facebook. I love creating community, and just you can kind of see what I'm up to. I post a lot. My business is called Root Your Radiance, so ROOT, and it's all about grounding and being radiant through your grounding. And then so rootyourradiance.com is my website, or you can follow my business page on Facebook as well. And feel free to reach out. I welcome messages. I offer a free 30-minute consultation, and we can just kind of go through some stuff and see if I'm the right person to support you, or if I can provide you any immediate resources. And if you want to continue this conversation via, Facebook message or whatever, I welcome that as well. You can also email me at rootyourradiance@gmail.com.
Right on. Laura, thank you so much. And thank you all for watching us. I hope you guys are taking away some really great nuggets that Laura just shared with us regarding the dangers of positive thinking or positive psychology. And make sure you follow Laura. I love her. I'm now a super fan of Laura's, and I want to invite you back so we can talk about some other really great stuff. What do you think?
Yes, I would
Yeah.
love that. I know I had a whole bunch of points that I didn't get to, but it
Oh,
goes so fast. So to be continued.
to be continued. Maybe on Instagram.
Yeah, maybe.
We can go do a live show over there if you want. So we'll talk about that so we can wrap this up. But thank you all so much for your time. And again, reach out to Laura if so that she can support you through your journey. And we'll see you all very soon. Thanks, Laura. We'll see you
Take care.
soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.